X is an A24 horror film directed by T. West that involves a young crew of filmmakers who have made a living off of horror films and are just now trying to get a new film off the ground with a supposedly perfect script and the perfect location that they found off of an ad and reached out about over a phone call. But little do they know that the property they are renting from has a very old reclusive couple that is supposedly religious and very conservative. So there is quite a dilemma in trying to get this film off the ground and getting a good production value out of it while also appeasing this couple and not pissing them off, essentially. I think you can imagine how that goes. This has to be one of the most insane roller coaster rides of a horror movie I have seen. This is not only filled with really great atmosphere, use of darks, and really great suspense that never failed to keep me immersed and really creeped out by what was going on, but there's also just the perfect blend of that and just pure moments of comedy that had me laughing maniacally. I also really loved how it had so many shades and influences from a lot of really good slasher movies, such as Friday the 13th and, say, Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Also, just really good 70s slashers in general. It had a lot of that influence and a lot of that shade like hidden throughout the movie, almost like Easter eggs and winks and nods that always kept me feeling nostalgic towards those movies and always made it enjoyable to watch. This film could have easily been something very generic, very down in the deep of studio ownership and cash grabs, but it wasn't. Quite simply because they actually cared about the filmmaking and the cinematography behind it, how they set up the atmosphere and true horror within the film to where people were actually scared by what was going on, but also just going all out for a slasher movie and actually making the kills very well set up and totally brutal. They held back no punches here. They were going all out. They knew they were trying to make a slasher film, and they did just that. There were tons of crazy traps set up, some that are similar to Friday the 13th or other slasher movies of that sort, but it still feels very well crafted and very well built up to where you never fail to be impressed by it. It's always keeping you invested and it's totally riveting. Like I said, this film had a really amazing atmosphere setup with some really intense and unsettling lighting, giving some really deep and dark shadows that really invoked a sense of panic and a horrifying tone. There's also quite a bit given to the color palette as well. I would say it had just about the perfect balance for setting up night scenes and setting up the tone of the horror in the film, just really making it a visually crazy experience. And I would say it's some of the best visual direction I've seen in a very long time. There was never a moment visually in the film that I was not amazed by. I really love the way the old lady is set up in this movie as both a killer and just a character in general with her motive. As crazy as her motive is, and the way it's set up plot wise to kind of play into the insane tone of this film, and in some cases, very hilarious moments that play out as well. I would say the biggest thing though is she feels like someone who is kind of conflicted between religion and trying to keep it up as it to an extent a facade and even just a very crazy ideology as well. But she also still has a promiscuous side as well. And she wants her husband to be promiscuous in a very similar way, but he's not only too old to be getting down and dirty, but he's also kind of contained. and a little bit conservative with it. So it kind of sets up a conflict that she's jealous of these porn filmmakers as she finds out what they're doing on their property. I really loved this film and enjoyed it throughout. It took me back to the days of slashers like Friday the 13th and Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but also feeling like it had its own original ideas and a really crazy plot that made for some great horror and comedy at the same time. I loved everything they did here, and the attention to filmmaking was pretty much flawless. I think this is the perfect A24 film for a slasher movie and how they approached it, and I cannot recommend this film enough. If you are interested in slasher movies, but you also want to see more horror and something that's a little more scary and atmospheric, this is definitely the film for you. And I think this is going to be one of my favorite movies of the year. I could not have been more pleasantly surprised and so immersed in this film. And I'm easily going to give this an A minus. I do just want to say that I have been having some time management and scheduling issues, both with this YouTube channel and a lot of other things that I'm trying to do, including a job that I have. But I do want to keep this channel going, and I will be putting out at least 2 videos a week, or I'll at least try to do so. And really grateful for all of you guys that have been regularly supporting my channel and continually watching my videos. Thank you guys so much for watching this, and I will see you in the next review.